If you are anything like me, you like G.I. Joe. I'm a G.I. Joe fanatic. I have a vast action figure collection and watch the 1980s cartoon series regularly. And I love the 1987 movie. But I'm not here to talk about those, arguably the most popular aspects of G.I. Joe. No, I'm here to talk about the often overlooked and criminally underrated Marvel Comics series, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, written by Larry Hama, the man who wrote the file cards for the original toys. I have known about this series for well over a decade now, and have read the occasional issue here and there. But it wasn't until a few months ago that I started from issue 1 and got to work reading all that I had. By golly, this is just about the greatest comic series ever! A few disclaimers. I don't yet have all the issues. I have most of them, but I'm missing a few chunks. Also, I have not finished the series yet. I'm a little over halfway through, at issue 83 of 150-something. And that's not including the spin-off G.I. Joe Special Mission series, a book of one-shots that loosely ties into the main continuity, but aren't necessary to understand the full story. This has nothing to do with my overview of the series, but I just don't want to be misleading. I haven't read it all. But what I have read has been of such a high quality that I just couldn't go another day without telling you about it. Warning, there will be mild spoilers. Nothing major, though. Starting in 1982, the G.I. Joe comic book series starts with a bang, and right off the bat you see that this is not the cartoon series. There are many differences in both character, plot, location, etc. Breaker chews gum constantly. Hawk leads the team. And they're a secret group that operate out of the Pit, an underground base beneath a chaplain school in New Jersey. Scarlet is in love with Snake Eyes, not Duke. Duke, by the way, doesn't come in until issue 22. It has more military and character-driven stories than the cartoon, which focused heavily on the action-adventure elements. But that's not to say the comics aren't action and adventure. What makes G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero so interesting to read is that one issue will be a character study on one of the Joes. The next will be almost a straight war story that you'd find in the pages of Sergeant Rock. And the next is a science fiction tale that will knock your socks off. There are so many different genres and story styles at play, but they are all written by the same man, which gives the whole series a sense of unity that really serves it well. Unlike the script, the art changes a lot early on, which in many cases bothers me, but not here. The series starts with Herb Trimpe on the art chores, and he does a fine job. But later you get people like Mike Vosberg of Savage She-Hulk fame behind the pencil, or Don Perlin, or Jeff Isherwood. Even Larry Hama himself did the breakdowns for an issue. And then, in issue 24, you get the one and only Russ Heath drawing G.I. Joe. Duke and Cobra Commander drawn by my personal favorite Sergeant Rock artist. The guy who did the character sheets for the cartoon. That's the stuff dreams are made of, boys and girls. Later on, the art duties fall to Ron Wagner, and he stays on consistently up until where I'm reading. The title became twice a month, and then Wagner alternated with Marshall Rogers. But these differences don't hurt the enjoyment you get out of the stories. The comic book allows for a lot more character development and story to unfold, and Hama uses this to full effect. But what I love is his pacing. He was clearly in this for the long haul. He had a vision that looked forward years ahead. Nothing seems spur of the moment. The entire series reads like one big story. But Hama pulls off this style of storytelling better than anyone else I've read. It's not like how Tom DeFalco wrote Fantastic Four, where each issue leads to the next, which leads to the next, which leads to the next, but you never get to the awesome stuff he's been teasing for a year's worth of comics. Most of Hama's G.I. Joe issues, though building to a greater story, can be enjoyed as one-shots, but he infuses them with epic subplots that span dozens of issues. What are the terror drones for? Who killed Hardmaster? What's up with Snake Eyes? Subplots like these get built up over time, but there is an eventual resolution, and boy is it satisfying when you get there. Intrigue, espionage, science fiction, war, introspection, romance, action-adventure, death, rebirth, comedy, global conspiracies, corrupt governments, heroism beyond belief. What are you waiting for? And one last thing. If you love the Dreadnoks and can't get enough of them in the cartoon, their exploits alone are worth the price of admission. I will never love the comic books more than the cartoon, because I saw the cartoon first, and that's why I fell in love with G.I. Joe in the first place. But that's not to say the Larry Hama comics are anything to sneeze at. They took an exciting concept, a special military group, and put it more into the real world than they are in the cartoon. Built a complex world for them to operate in, and let them go. I cannot recommend this series enough to fans of comic books, fans of G.I. Joe, or anyone who enjoys good storytelling. I hope you give G.I. Joe, a real American hero, a shot. You won't regret it. I thank you very much for listening. Until the next video.